You sound like you're mission control at NASA.
I feel that way. All right, we are good to go. We are recording. Karina, this is all yours, and I'll continue to let folks in, okay?
Well, thank you so much. Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. Thank you guys for joining us today on Mastermind Monday and our membership spotlight. We have here today our guest, Vicki Kennedy from Cape Elizabeth, Maine. But today we wanted to start first by excusing our president, Lisa. Unfortunately, she's not able to join us today. And we send our condolences for the loss of her mother. Our prayers, hugs are with you and your family during this difficult time. So with that being said, Vicki, thank you so much for saying yes. I was excited when we had our conversation last Friday, just getting to know another wonderful woman, entrepreneur, and just getting to know your little real estate history, right? Just how you started real estate. Just to give a little bit of your resume, you licensed realtor since 1986, broker owner of your own franchise, a Remax franchise, Remax Oceanside since 2006. You sat at board of directors for local boards of realtors and also Women's Council of Realtors, CRS since 2017. And you have been our network director since 2018. So you've been a very busy lady. And between there, you got married and you had kids and you started a business with your husband. So this is amazing, you know, definitely a wonderful, you know, resume that you have there. And, you know, we started our conversation earlier with Nora and just saying thank you for taking great care of one of her favorite clients, you know, who bought their second home. And this is what this is all about, right? Becoming part of our CRS family is being able to trust our beloved clients, right, locally here to someone out there that we know that will take care of them the same way that we would, right? So that's awesome how you're helping them find their second home out by what you said. How far away from the beach?
Just a mile.
Oh, yeah. A mile. That's a wonderful mile. So definitely. So Cape Elizabeth in Maine. Tell me a little bit about yourself, Vicki. Why and how did you get started in real estate, and what inspired you to become a broker owner?
Oh gosh. So when I first got licensed in the 80s, this might be too much information, but I moved to Maine with a boyfriend and then realized that was just not going to work. And how was I going to support myself and, you know, and have fun doing it? So I got my real estate license. And in the 80s, you just automatically became an associate broker. They didn't have that introductory sales associate. So I jumped right in and worked probably only 2 or 3 years, and then took a break, got married, had children, and then decided my daughter was about a year old, and I thought, I need to get out of the house. There needs to be a little bit more action in my life. So I got back into real estate and worked for another company for 4 years, and then decided, you know, it was too big brother-ish. It was too,
I think she froze.
Did Vicki freeze?
Yes, I think she froze. Vicki?
Okay. I see everyone else moving. I think it's.
Now we can talk about her.
I love her. I love her face. What a way to stop.
oh no, I froze.
There, you're back.
Yeah.
Where'd you guys lose me?
Big brother-ish.
Big brother-ish, yes.
Oh, good. Okay, so yeah, so decided at that point to start our own company, and in December 06, we opened Remax Oceanside.
And then you were in business for 2 years, wonderful years, and then the market crashed, right? And it's like, wow, what do we have?
Yes.
So, you know.
Yes, right? And what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Exactly. You know, and that's part of one of the questions that we have here is, you know, what are the difficulties that you had in the beginning of your career, and how did you overcome that?
Oh gosh. So the hardest thing I think was getting people to trust that I knew what I was doing because of my age. You know, I was just 18 years old, newly licensed, and they looked at me and thought, you look like you're 12. I'm not letting you sell my house. So really, that was the biggest hurdle. And, you know, once they realized, and I've always been a stickler for education. One of those strange people that like to be to be in classes and learn more. There's always something new, right?
Yeah.
So
Oh, she froze again. Yep, there you are. We hear you.
okay, sorry, I thought I lost you again.
No, no,
Yeah, that was, I think that's been the biggest challenge back then. And now, you know, what I think everybody's seeing is finding listings because our inventory is so low.
yeah. So the early challenges obviously was the fact that you were young, right? But what about as a early broker early in your career? Because you were, you know, you took a break from being licensed and to come back, right? Now a mother and a broker owner. So what was one of the early challenges that you think that you know, how'd you overcome that you went through?
Yeah, I think the juggle, right? And time management. And we were just talking about how important it is to schedule time for your family.
Yes.
Make sure they're an appointment in your book and keep that appointment, you know, and you don't have to tell folks that you're going to lunch with your daughter. It's an appointment I have scheduled. What else works for you?
Yeah.
That was a challenge because I wanted to be available to everybody all the time.
Yeah.
And as you know, you can't do that. You would burn out really quickly if you were available to everyone all the time.
Totally agree with that.
So yeah, that and on the broker end of things is, you know, building the team and recruiting is a whole different hat that I had to learn to wear.
Yeah. And especially working with your husband, right? We were just talking about that on Friday, you know, yeah. So
Yeah, thankfully, he is way more easygoing and laid back than I am. So he just rolls with it. And, you know, he does a lot of the background stuff. You know, he'll help with showings and attend inspections and do that type of thing.
wonderful, wonderful. So, you know, so here you are, broker owner, licensed since, you know, throughout time since the 80s. What made you go for your CRS designation?
Oh, well, it was an event I went to and met all kinds of great designees. And after speaking to them and spending time with them, I realized that you all are just a special group. I mean, you set your standards are higher, you set yourself apart. The welcome I received, Cheryl was instrumental. She's been my biggest advocate, I think, and my supporter. But you know, I was overwhelmed with how professional the folks that I met that were CRS designees, and just so passionate about what they do. And that's all it took, really.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So going back to still staying with the designee, right? How has being a CRS designee helped your business grow throughout the different markets you experienced throughout your career? And that's part one. Part two is, and the education that, you know, being a CRS designee offers. How's that helped you?
Right. So I haven't gone through too many changes in markets since I was designated, you know, got the designation. But I believe that, you know, clients see that, you know, and they go, what does the CRS mean, you know, in your signature line or on your business card? And you start talking about it and they're really impressed, right? I mean, they know you're a realtor, and then you educate them about the difference between being a real estate agent and a realtor. And then you start talking about the CRS designation, and they just, they seem very impressed with that, you know, and they go, oh, you know, that's amazing. I don't hear about that often. And I don't see that with a lot of other agents. And so that's, you know, I think helped stand us, you know, out from the crowd a little bit. And then you would ask something else, something about education.
Your education, what's been your
Yeah, I don't think you can ever be overeducated, right? So I always tell my agents, just learn, learn, learn. There's never one transaction that's the same. There always seems to be something different. And, you know, you can't ever have too much information. You know, you'll be able to pivot and think on your feet and just, you know, be able to overcome any challenge.
Yeah. I remember when we spoke on Friday, you mentioned that you attended 2019, I believe it was. You attended bar camp. That was was that offered through
The bar
CRS?
camp that was held in New Hampshire.
Yes.
Yeah, that was amazing. I see a lot of people that I met there. Kurt, you were there. And we had, yeah, we broke out into different rooms, and there was a different topic in each room, and there was sort of a facilitator, but it was a fellow CRS designee. It wasn't, you know, an instructor or anything. And, you know, they got the conversation going, and then we all got to jump in and, you know, ask questions, give our 2 cents, you know, and it just was probably the most helpful education for, I would call it education, that I'd ever attended. It just was really boots on the ground type of information that you needed in the day-to-day business that you were doing. So super helpful.
Correct. Wonderful. I look forward to seeing
And got to meet like a ton of fun people.
So I experienced, like I mentioned to you, early 2020, I experienced my first celebration. We were in Florida, and I came back so overwhelmed with so much information, and you know, the experience was like, wow, right? And then COVID hit me, and I was like, what the heck? But you know, hit us all, right? But definitely tools that I did put to work, you know, during COVID, that kept business going. So it's great to attend. So with that being said, also, are you looking forward to Lake Tahoe? I know we mentioned about probably attending, right? God willing.
I'm hoping.
Uh-huh.
Yep. I'm
Yeah.
hoping to go. I was signed up for CRS in 2020. It would have been my first celebration. And had to cancel. So very disappointing, because everybody that I've talked to that has gone has just said what, you know, it's the best conference you can attend.
Yes.
So I'm super excited. Hopefully, yes, Tahoe, you know, works. And then, you know, I think, you know, most of us are type A, right? We're pretty outgoing, and the lack of that face-to-face with folks has just been really hard this year. You know, I love to see my people, you know, I see Brenda, she's smiling and nodding, and right. I mean, I miss seeing you. So looking forward to that a lot, definitely.
Definitely. So regarding your business, what are the most dependable sources of your business?
Oh my gosh, CRS 100%. The referrals I have received have been phenomenal. You know, we just talked with Nora, and just closed one in December. And her people were great. I feel like the quality of the clients is, you know, not just the lead quality, but the people are just phenomenal. They're just super sweet. They're ready to work with you. They're excited to work with you. And, you know, they've all closed. Every referral I've received have closed. So I think that's my number one for sure.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Now, what is your level of expertise out there? Is it luxury homes? Is it, you know, oceanfront homes? What is, so that way when we know to, you know, have a referral out there, we know who to go to. So what is your area of expertise out there?
Right. So Cape Elizabeth is coastal. So I don't know if you've ever heard of Portland Headlight. So Portland Headlight is like one of the most photographed lighthouses in the world. And that's right here in Cape Elizabeth, even though it's called Portland Headlight. So we do a lot of second homes. We do, you know, a lot of folks moving out of the city now that want their primary residence here because they want more space, and they don't want to be on a, you know, on a high rise with no outdoor living. We're seeing a ton of that from the bigger cities. But really, Portland's our hub, right? So it's the coolest small city. It's like mini Boston. It's got a little of everything. We've got museums and culture, and the food scene is amazing. We've lost a few restaurants, right? But I think we're seeing things change. So they just opened things up a little bit more in Maine. The capacity's opened up, the time frame is opened. So I think that people are ready to get out there. So yeah, really Southern Maine is my area. Anything greater Portland, Southern Maine.
Wonderful, wonderful. So I'm gonna give one more question, and then I'll probably open up the floor for anybody else to ask you anything. But my last question is, especially myself personally, right? For this one, I ask everybody because I'm still new in the business, right? So I'm still considering myself young. So what advice do you give to newer generation of real estate professionals?
Oh gosh. So I think the first thing I would do is,
Rose again. No, I need that advice.
She'll be back.
She'll be right. Yeah,
Give her a sec.
yeah.
That's what happens in Portland, Maine.
and we're, you know,
Windy too, it's windy.
Cliffhanger. There she
That's
is.
a serious cliffhanger. We have really crazy high winds up here, so it's messing with all the reception.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry, would
am I back?
Yes, you're back.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Like the wind, so they're gusting at like 60 miles an hour, and I'm right on the ocean, and it's just causing havoc. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Where did I lose you?
So
Or where did you lose me?
Yep. Just I finished my question, and then the first thing. Yeah.
And I'm rambling away. So you really need a plan is what I would encourage new people, new agents to do. There, you know, that saying is if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So, you know, my new agents, we sit down and we do a business plan, we do a marketing plan. My biggest thing is schedule time for you. I said it before, but if you don't schedule it, you'll end up working 24/7. And then, you know, build your database, reach out to your sphere of influence consistently, reach out to past clients once you get them. And, you know, make sure that people understand that they worked with you and they were impressed with you, and testimonials are huge. Make sure they're doing reviews for you. I think those are so important. Everybody's online, right? And you're being interviewed before they even pick up the phone or email you. They're checking you out, right? So they're on your social media and they're seeing what you do and how you act and who you know and what your interests are. So make sure that your social media presence is what you want to be a portrayal of yourself.
I learned that the hard way in the beginning of my career, and I'm still learning that. And you know, obviously we're humans and we mess up, but you know, one of the things, and I agree with what you said in the beginning, that being a part of CRS, you learn, wow, what a level of professionalism, right? And it smacks you in the head and says, grow up. You're a licensed realtor now, you know? So it's like, now you got to act a certain way, you know? You can't post everything on social media or even now in public, you know? So definitely, I totally agree with you on that, you know? Presence is very important. You only get one chance to make an, you know, a good presentation.
Right.
So with that being said, I will leave the floor to our audience and see if anybody has any questions for you. Or comments.
I'll ask one.
Yes, Kevin.
I'll throw out the database question, Vicki. It's good to see you, and thank you so much for sharing all that incredibly good information with us. I'm finding that a lot of agents are turning to their databases right now because they're seeing the value now and in the future. Can you tell us more about what you're doing with your database?
Sure. So I don't practice what I preach as much as I should, but you know, I reach out to my client a few times a year, past clients, sphere of influence, and pick up the phone, you know, especially during this whole coronavirus, and just make sure they're doing okay. You know, in the beginning, we called them all and asked if there was anything they needed. I mean, I don't care if you need a roll of toilet paper, we'll run it over to you, you know, whatever it was that you need, you know, we'll do. And we got like a huge response from that. It was incredible. The instant messages and the texts that I got, that people were so grateful. That was huge. In a normal year, we always reach out at the beginning of the year, send them a copy of their closing disclosure to make sure that they let their accountants know that they made a move, made a purchase, or, you know, or sold something. We have what's called a homestead exemption in Maine. So after you've owned a property for a year, you can apply for this exemption that reduces the value that you're taxed on for your property taxes. And it's amazing how many people don't know that that's a possibility and that's available to them. So we either send them a link or an actual application so they can fill that out. That's been huge. They're just so appreciative of that, right? It's a few $100s, but it's something that nobody's doing for them. So that's been huge. We've done client appreciations in the past. Hopefully we're going to be able to do that again soon, but we pick a really great venue. Like we had a couple at a yacht club. We do the country club, local country club. We're trying to think outside the box and do something a little different in the future, but nothing's solidified yet. But those are always a big hit. And then, you know, I try to do, I know mailings might be antiquated in some people's eyes, but the more that they get from you, the more they're going to think of you and you'll be front of mind when the time does come. So even if it's just a sold or, you know, an oops, our client missed out on this house. Do you know anyone in your neighborhood that is also thinking of selling, that type of thing? And that's been a great response too.
Thank you.
Richard has his hand up and Kim does too.
Oh, I'll defer to the lovely Kim Cameron, obviously.
You're such a suck up. Vicki, I love everything that you're talking about and that you're doing. And I'm a junkie for client parties. And, you know, with the market that we're in and the environment, our last client party was March 7th a year ago. So I'm jonesing to travel and see people, but I'm wondering, we've been going heavy on mailers and trying to do, you know, Spring Has Sprung and Valentine's Day and St. Patrick's Day and all this mumbo jumbo. I'm wondering if you found something that has gotten a better response than some of your other mailers. We're just mailing every month like mad. But is there something that you've done and you go, oh my gosh, that one really worked, or we had more responses to it than some of the other items? I think you froze again.
I'm sorry, I lost you after mumbo jumbo.
So is there a mailer or something you've done during the environment that we've been in that you've gotten just a better response than anything else? Sometimes it's the quirky stuff. You know, the homestead letter, I'm sure that is huge. What are some other things you've done that you were surprised that really got a good response?
You know what the biggest thing, it was brand new for us this year, was Halloween, because, you know, the kids didn't know if they could go out, parents didn't want them out. So we made up goodie bags and we delivered them to all our past clients and that have, well, some that don't have kids, that are big kids at heart. And then we had a sign up too. So we put it on our social media that anyone that signed up would be, we deliver to them. And so another agent and I that wanted to participate, we dressed up in costume and we went door to door and we delivered the goodie bags. And we got such a great reaction to that we actually did it for Christmas as well. And not share those pictures because I dressed up like a little elf. and we delivered goodie bags for Christmas. It wasn't as great a response for the folks that signed up because, it's Christmas and they're already going to get gifts, right? So they know that the kids are going to be thought of and remembered. But Halloween was just crazy response.
Love that. I think you're like my sister from another mister. I love everything about that.
I love it.
Vicki, great job. Thanks for being with us today. By the way, Kim Cameron, she just loves all parties, not just client parties. So
Right?
We're having a discussion this weekend. I'm predominantly a listing agent and working with a team of some buyers agents. And I know I'm counseling my clients right now not to be entertaining escalation clauses or love letters. And Monica Neubauer, one of our CRS instructors, did a great program a couple of weeks ago, and she talked about presenting signable offers. So I'd love to hear what you're doing with your team in terms of, from the buyer's perspective, are they playing with escalation clauses? Are they doing their love letters? And on the other side, the flip side, advising your sellers to entertain or not entertain. Love to hear your feedback on that.
Right. So escalation clauses are running rampant up here. They really are. So what we're just educating everybody that, the highest offer isn't always the best. And if it has any financing in there that, you're 100,000 over on a $300,000 house, you're probably not going to get appraised, right? So you got to take it case by case. Our buyers are very, very interested in doing escalation clauses and love letters. But I do the same thing, Richard, and with sellers, why would you let that sway a business decision, right? This has to be a business decision for you. It's your biggest asset typically. Make the right choice as far as that goes. Sometimes you can't keep them from wanting the love letters, but it's got to be their choice as far as that goes. Escalation clauses, again, I think you got to be mindful of that number, and all the terms and how they're paying for it, and
We're now
if it's
seeing,
going to be a
Vicki,
problem.
and I'd like to hear your input in this. We're seeing actually in the listings themselves that the listing agents are stating no love letters, no escalation clauses, obviously with the authorization of the seller.
Oh, wow.
Are you seeing that at all?
No, I haven't seen that yet.
I'd love to hear it. Again, I just think I'm now advising my clients to do the same thing. I want to see the cleanest off. Most of my clients are older. They're like me, but no, they're in their 80s and they don't want confusion. They want to see simple offers put in front of them. And so we ask them to authorize us to put that now in the listing. No love letters, no escalation clauses. And if it comes in, people are not reading. We know RDR, realtors don't read, but it shows the seller something. So thanks for your input.
Yeah, I'd be interested in if anyone else is, seeing that. Greg, you're up here. Brenda, are you seeing those in Maine?
I haven't seen anybody say no to them. But we have talked about it a lot in our office that we're discouraging. We talk to our sellers about it first. It's always their choice. But make sure you have a conversation with the broker bringing the offer first about where you think your seller is at. If you've got somebody older, like Richard said, they don't want that confusion and they're just gonna ignore it because it's gonna push it away. So I think the big deal that we've talked about in our office is have the conversation with your seller, then have the conversation with the buyer bringing the offer.
I see a hand. It says Laura. Yep, go ahead.
Sure. So on the love letters, my understanding is that you could put your seller in a bad position, because if one person writes, oh, we're a family of 5 and we'll love your property, and the other people are, I don't want to be politically incorrect, but the other people are gay and you choose the family, they could say that you discriminated against them.
Yeah.
So I've been discouraging all love letters, and it just muddies the water. We're selling the house. Don't make it. But and I'm up by Acadia National Park, so I have a similar market as Vicki.
Kurt, or I asked a question to and message to Cheryl. I don't know, you had your hand up at first. Yeah, I'm sorry. Kurt, do you mind? Sure.
Okay, is that me?
No, Kurt, sorry.
Sorry, I was deferring to Cheryl.
Yes, go ahead.
I just wanted to thank Vicki because the reason why you know, she's been able to get all these wonderful referrals is because she volunteered. She was our network director. She did it for 2 solid years. She had held an event up there, appraisals, what are appraisals? And we sponsored that, and over 65 people showed up. So she's been put on the map because she's done some volunteer work. And for all of you, you show up every Monday. Now I know someone in Arcadia. I'd love to visit. I was just in Cape Elizabeth on Saturday visiting my daughter who's up in Gorham, Maine. And the Inn by the Sea is my favorite spot on Crescent Beach. So next time I come, I'm gonna come and say hello to you. But thank you for all your volunteer work, and we're happy to refer business to you. So,
Oh, Cheryl, I can see the inn right there. I'm right next door, like with a field between us. So next time, yes, let me know.
who's up next, Kurt? And then I think I saw Greg.
Yes, yes.
It was just a quick ditto. We're telling our sellers the same thing. Please say no seller buyer love letters, but always, as Richard mentioned, with the written informed consent of the seller.
Yeah. Greg?
Yeah, I agree with it. I just had a situation where we had to present a love letter, even though I advised against it, because I'm explaining to them that it shows the extreme motivation that you have for the home. They could come back and counter back with no home inspections. There's so many different things they can do with that kind of approach. So I advised against it. They went with it. We still didn't get the home. But that's my opinion. I agree with, I think, the majority of us here. I don't think they're a very good positive influence. With regards to the other situation, escalation clauses, heavily used. I'm in the south side. I'm on the Maine-New Hampshire border, and I service both Maine and New Hampshire. New Hampshire really is not used to escalation clauses for the most part. We use them almost in every transaction right now. I'm a proponent of it. I was when we initially started it and introduced the escalation clause because your client has the opportunity on the buy side of putting his best foot forward. He's not going to turn back to you and say, well, why didn't you advise me to do better? On the other side, I want to know, and every offer comes in an escalation, I want to know what the best offer is for my client to negotiate. So those are my feelings on those two situations. Thank you.
Hey, Christine, just a quick question. We're going a little bit late, and I would love if anyone wants to stay on to have a little more masterminding discussion on this, because I'd love to have a chat with Greg on that. And I know if I'm a listing agent, when I see an escalation clause in there and it's going $50,000, $100,000 over the asking price, I'm going right to the escalation clause amount and countering right back. And so I think there's some things. So if you guys are okay with it, I'd love for anyone who wants to stick around for a while to keep chatting.
Yeah, I am. I might stop on Facebook and the recording,
So
and we can mastermind from there.
Yeah, before we do that, I would like to give the floor to Ann Enos from Rhode Island, who requested a few seconds to inform us of an event that she's having out there. Ann?
Yeah, very quickly. It's nice to see new faces that I've not had the pleasure of meeting. So just thank you for the couple of minutes that I need. It really is a great segue, Greg, that you brought in, because you do business in New Hampshire as well as Maine, correct?
Yes.
So I'd just like to bring to your attention, we are holding an event. We March 25th from 9:30 to 12:30 for our Rhode Island and Massachusetts dual licensees. And the topic is cross-border business, business across state lines, if you want to get official. But what we're trying to do in the Northeast region is use the template that we had in Rhode Island. And my love goes out to Cheryl, because we go back a few years. And when she was president-elect, we kind of connected again and established this cross-border event, which was very successful. Cheryl has graciously accepted my challenge to be on our panel, again, representing brokers, looking through the lens of being a broker when you have dual licensees and what your responsibilities are as their supervisor. But it's also based on transactions. We'll talk things about license law, how to, reciprocal licensing. We're talking about lead. We're talking about Title V versus Rhode Island wastewater legislation and whatnot. So when Cheryl participated, when we were live, we offered a breakfast. It was held in Attleboro. We had 155 people show up. I think 157 registered. So that just blew us away. The place was kind of packed. In fact, we had to turn people away. Now we're replicating that. Fingers crossed, say a prayer, because we're doing it virtually. And we all know what can happen when we go virtual. So I feel your pain, Vicki. God willing, we won't have those issues, but it's March 25th, 9:30 to 12:30. This time, I'm really, really pleased because not only can we offer CEs for this session, it'll be three credits to our Rhode Island people and 2 hours for our Massachusetts people. So right now we're at 123 registrations and we still have, more than a week, couple of weeks to go. Well, not really, what, 10 days, something like that. And we all know we always leave everything to the last minute. So if you're interested, Greg, you're a perfect example. I may be calling on you to help me should this kind of proceed forward to the rest of our Northeast states. So thank you.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank
Look
you.
forward to hearing from you.
Yes, and Vicki, definitely on behalf of membership, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to be with us and sharing with us. I look forward to one day meeting you in person. And yeah, thank you, everybody. And again, our thoughts and prayers are with our president, Lisa, for the loss of her mother. We're sending a virtual hug and, we're here for you. So thank you, everybody.
So anyone who wants to hang and have that discussion. And by the way, Greg, I'm looking